to the Contrarians, and we are live. We are going to talk about our top new wave of British heavy metal album covers. So let's get ready. We want to hear from you in the chat. Let's go. All right. Sorry, everybody. I had to reboot the router. I'm sure everyone here's had internet problems before. Can't imagine no one here has, but I don't know. It's been kind of funky. I think I'm going to have to change providers because it's been really sketchy. So anyway, here we are, though. We are here. Look at us. Golly, look at everybody. I want to welcome everybody on the panel. I want to welcome everybody in the chat because we do want to hear from you. So tonight we are looking at our top favorite new wave of British heavy metal album covers. So first of all, I want to welcome, of course, Martin and myself are here. Jamie Laszlo's here. And of course, Mike Ladano. So everybody, how is everybody? Nice to see you.
Absolutely. Ready to roll.
Rough start, but hey, when you go live, you just kind of have to go with it. So we're here. So anyway, we're going to go 3, 3, and 4. Okay. And I'm going to start out with Martin and then Jamie, then Michael, myself, and we'll just go around. All right, Martin, take it away.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, I warned these guys that I'll yap a little more and throw in a few little things because not everybody's way up on the new wave of British heavy metal like I am. So I'll provide some background as we go along, I suppose, as well. But first off, I'm going to start with the Diamond Head Borrowed Time album. This is the band's second album. It's a little patchy. There's not a lot of songs on it. The recording's not great. There's even a song or two from the previous album. Let me see. Where do we got here? Two from the previous album. But they went all out with the Rodney Matthews cover art with the gatefold that opens up to the back. I mean, this is the album cover art for this is way better than the album. The album almost sounds like a strange demo. There's the inside. It's very swanky looking, right? But yeah, it's just not that solid of an album. It's kind of strange, but yeah, an incredible album cover on that. And then of course I had right next to my Diamond Head, I pulled this out by mistake. This is my Diamond Rio album. Look at that. These guys are actually fairly heavy for this. This is a very obscure band who's actually kind of heavy, but look at them. They're kind of goofy looking.
But don't get them confused.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Not REO Speedwagon and not Diamond Head.
Oh, God. Here we go down to REO Speedwagon. Yeah. Here.
Okay, my next one is Battle Axe, Power of the Universe, which I don't own a copy of this. But so this is a band that is not that incredible a new wave of British heavy metal band. There's the album cover. I love the album cover. And the funny story about this one is that's such a cool album cover. It looks like a new wave of Swedish heavy metal album cover. It absolutely looks like a Torch or a Highway Child or a Heavy Pettin or, I'm not naming Swedish bands, but Europe, Axe Witch, those kinds of bands, Torch. It's a great album cover. This is their second album, but the first album cover, Burn This Town, is one of their notoriously bad album covers. And that's with the guy on the motorcycle in a very scratchy sort of picture of him. So these guys were kind of not the greatest new wave of British heavy metal band, but that's an incredible album cover.
No.
My next one, I went with Demon, The Unexpected Guest. Now this is honorable mention. Maybe it's going to come up with someone else. Their first album cover is really cool too, but this one I think is a little classier and spookier, just because of the way it's kind of just this weird apparition kind of thing. So this is their second album, maybe their best album. The back cover is super spooky too. It just looks really occultish. And then the really crazy part is you've got the gatefold of this, and you've got the two guys. Look at this. Look at the gatefold. Very
that makes me upset.
Yeah. and they're kind of like a poppy moving towards proggy, not well recorded, kind of a strange new wave of British heavy metal band. When these bands get kind of poppy and they have graphics like that, you really kind of get freaked out, right? It's just incongruous, I suppose. So there is my first three. Let's take a quick look over to the comments and see who's chiming in here. We've got Henry Wright's here, Pumping Vinyl, Ashley Geisler, The Handsome Beast, Bestiality, Phil Aston from Now Spinning. Absolutely. He's not on that album, though. Let's see what else we got here. Diamond Reel, we're a new wave of British country. Yeah, that's actually a kind of semi-heavy album. Are you saying they're actually British, Elder? I didn't know that if they are. I thought they were American. But that's actually a pretty heavy album, like I say. Let's see. To me, Priest. Oh, we're having the Priest debate here. Savage, Loose, and Lethal. That's an honorable mention of mine as well. That's one of the greatest new wave of British heavy metal albums of all time. Word Stand Up and Fight was an honorable mention here too, but that might be coming up. We shouldn't be giving too many of them away. I should probably stop and we should move on. How about let's go over to Jamie.
Jamie, you're up.
All right, my first one is a classic, Angel Witch. Angel Witch, one of those times where you got the song Angel Witch by Angel Witch from the album Angel Witch, kind of the Black Sabbath thing working. Believe it or not, I didn't own this album until I didn't have a hard copy until about 2-3 years ago. And this one's on a red swirl. But yeah, it looks like, the capital of hell, maybe the Capitol building there of hell where Satan he lives in there. And the next one. Now, this band might have better album covers, all right? But this one, I got a story. And that's why every time I see it, I think of the story. And that is Diamond Head. Behold the Beginning, and it's a comp. Oh, you got like one with a cool cover. Mine.
Hey, there's multiple covers for these things.
Yeah. So this is the one I have, and it's not that great. But
looks like a Ghost album cover to me.
Yeah, it looks like Underground. When I bought this album, I walked into the record store, and there was the owner, Amy, and there was me, and there was one dude in the corner. I didn't pay attention to him, and Amy was like, Jamie. I said, what? And she was pointing. It was Billy Corgan. The other guy in the record store was Billy Corgan. Wow. So I bought this, and he was by the cashier. And I put it up there, and he goes, nice choice. Thanks, Billy. So every time I had nothing for him to sign, I should have had him sign this and say Billy approved on it or something.
Yeah, nice choice. Yeah.
Yeah, or nice choice or something. That would have been cool. I didn't get a picture taken with him. He doesn't strike me as the kind of guy that likes to do autographs and selfies and all that thing. So I just kind of let him.
Yeah. I'll just chime in for a sec. So that is the reissue of their debut that everybody loves. And to me, I never thought about this, but that looks a little bit like XTC Non-Such, that album cover.
What, mine?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Remember XTC Non-Such with the sleeve with the
kind of
top kind of thing? Yeah.
Maybe not.
Anyways, go on.
All right. And my next one I don't have, but you know what? This little exercise had me on Amazon buying things because I was like, I don't have some of these albums. I think I need them. And the next one is Praying Mantis, Time Tells No Lies, which is really cool album cover.
I got it. Here we go.
Not the greatest album, though. It's this is a little bit kind of not greatly recorded. It's a little bit commercial, a little bit here nor there. Commercial. There was a lot of Leber Krebs almost signed them. They were looking at these guys and Def Leppard at the same time. They were smart to go with Def Leppard, but these guys have made a lot of albums and got a lot better quick.
Yes, I don't even know if I would call it metal.
Yeah, it's not that heavy. It was a disappointment.
What is it? Just hard rock?
It's like a cross between Eddie Money and Thin Lizzy.
Well, I do like Eddie Money, so I'm all right with that.
Yeah, good one. Yeah, cool.
Eddie Money and Thin Lizzy. Okay.
Now that's one I've never heard before. So let's just take a quick look before we go over to Mike Lear. We get Def Leppard On Through the Night, Tyson Dog, Beware the Dog. How is Motorhead, New Wave of British Heavy Metal? I'm going to have a bunch of Motorhead on mine, and I'm going to argue the hell out of that one, why they are New Wave of British Heavy Metal. Again, I get in that one all the time. But let's not give too many away here because I'm sure a bunch of these are going to come up. So let's
Henry, I love Thin Lizzy. Don't worry. I like Thin Lizzy and Eddie Money. It's all good.
It's okay to like both.
You can like both.
So
really pumping vinyl, really. Anybody? I'm just giving you an update. Pumping vinyl is a troll.
Oh yeah.
I'm just saying.
All right.
Because we've had issues with him.
Okay.
So don't give him any. I just banned him again. He'll return. He loves to troll, so I'm just letting you know.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Anyway, what are we
Good to
on?
go?
Sorry. Well, I'm trying to monitor, and I don't know what we're on now because I wasn't paying attention because I'm worried about us being hacked. So there you go.
Okay, well,
three.
Since both Martin and Jamie picked Diamond Head on their first rounds, I'm going to shuffle my order. I'm going to go with my Diamond Head pick. I actually picked the Lightning to the Nations, but I'm wagering I'm going to have a different cover than the one that you have. But let's
see. What? Okay, go ahead. There you go.
Okay, no, that is the one. Okay, so there's a story behind this. This is before Spinal Tap, okay? There's a story behind this. They printed up 1,000 copies of an album with no information on it whatsoever. There's nothing on the front. There's nothing on the back, not even song titles. So it says here in the liner notes, no information at all. This was years before Spinal Taps. People would write to us and go, can you write down the names of the tracks, please? Everyone else took wild guesses to what the songs were called. Each member signed 250 copies. Somebody wrote back to us and said, who the hell's Colin Kimberly? After the first pressing of 1,000 sold out, they did another batch of 1,000. So presumably there's only 2,000 of these in the world. And really, it's nothing to speak of in terms of an album cover. I just dig the concept that this was pre-Spinal Tap, Yeah. And there's not even song titles on the album. And you got to give them credit for just having the balls to do that.
And then the next thing they had, the next version of that was actually called Lightning to the Nations and had the had that. Yeah, there you go.
There it is.
So that's the interim. And then all those Behold the Beginnings are after, years later after that, but it's all the same album, right? More
that's right.
less. Yeah.
This is an original mix from a vinyl master, so that's kind of cool. My second pick, I believe I had Venom, Welcome to Hell.
And your second pick, Venom, welcome. Oh yeah, well, I've got it, but it's not in that order. But that's all right.
Yeah, sorry, I shuffled my order a bit. I didn't tell you this.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Okay, I'll stop doing that. Although I've shuffled my order and don't remember my original. But anyway, Venom, Welcome to Hell, because I don't know if I've ever seen anything more evil looking than that. I don't care one way or the other satanic imagery, but man, that just gives me the heebie-jeebies. And again, I think it's kind of ballsy just to go that straight out satanic on an early album like that. It's just got to give them credit where credit's due. They didn't they showed their hand. They didn't hide their cards. Yeah. And again, I'm sorry, Grant, I'm probably going out of order, but
no, you're fine. I'm all distracted. Go ahead. Samson,
Head On.
There you go. Bring out the GIMP, everybody. Bring out the GIMP.
There it is. With some kind of weird scythe, but it's not a scythe. It's a combination between an axe and a scythe, and it doesn't really look like any kind of practical weapon. It has hardly any handle to it. And I'm assuming that's Thunderstick on the front cover. The logo's kind of strange too, isn't it? Like they were trying, and you can see there's like yeah. This is just cheese factor. I can't help but like it for the cheese factor. If I saw that in a store, I would be very tempted to buy it just based on this guy with the scythe axe. There you go.
It looks like the notorious Metal Blade Predator album cover a little bit, right? And it also has the vibe of Exciter, Violence, and Force, right?
I don't know. Yeah, but this is the GIMP. This is Pulp Fiction 100%.
Yeah.
Funny. And that's with Bruce on lead vocals.
Is that Bruce wearing that outfit?
No, I think that is the drummer Thunderstick.
Yeah.
My goodness gracious.
The next album is the amazing one, right? Shock Tactics is so good. The last one with Bruce. And then they got Nicky Morin, and they do a couple more amazing albums before The Storm and Don't Get Mad, Get Even, right?
I wanted to pick Shock Tactics, but I just didn't like the cover as much.
Yeah, it's kind of obscure, right? Let's just take a quick look over to
Hold on real quick. I'm going to intervene. If anybody's watching the show on their phone, is there anything weird going on right now? I'm just taking a poll, and let me know if you get anything that's odd, like something repeating, some kind of hack. Let me know. So
yeah, I'm looking at the comments. They all look clean.
But you're not on your phone, no.
No, I'm not. No. Okay, Grant, over to you. Let's get the
I've been here, done that. So I'm just asking everybody in the chat, since we are a community and everything, and we're trying to have a good discussion. Looks good to me. Thank you, Bernie. Appreciate it. All right. There is something odd going on. William Walker, you have to elaborate a little bit. Oh, Grant is, well, I'm a host with the most. I'll host anything. Polka, new wave of British heavy metal, whatever. I can do it all.
And we forced him to come up with a list. So,
all right. Yeah, Martin forced me to come up with a list. So he's going to have to talk about it because it's not really my forte. My number 10, which is probably my favorite album cover, I'm going to go with Wildfire Summer Lightning, which is kind of nice. We're out on the road. There's lightning.
This is
Martin,
Paul
go
Mario
ahead, talk
Day.
about it a bit.
Yeah, this is Paul Mario Day, who used to be in Iron Maiden before Paul. This is their second album. I believe there are only the 2 albums. The first one's called Brute Force and Ignorance. The songs on this are incredible. It's just a really good melodic form of it reminds me a little bit of your I Heap Abominog in a way, but the production's a little rough. So it's a little low scale, but it's actually the songs. It really seems like they should have been a much bigger band because it's really classy, really cool songwriting. I've always liked this. Brute Force and Ignorance and as good.
All right.
Anyways, next one.
All right, next one. My number 9 is a band that I'm kind of fond of. I do have their CDs, ladies and gentlemen, so don't ride me too hard. But Heavy Pettin'. And I kind of like this album cover. This is the American version. This is not the UK album cover. But Heavy Pettin', I think, are decent. And, this is okay. By modern standards, is this a great album cover?
Great logo.
But,
this was the band. They're from Scotland, right? They're kind of like considered the Scottish Def Leppard. It's very Def Leppard-y, but really kind of drunken and heavy Def Leppard, kind of like Def Leppard crossed with Highway Child, produced by Brian May, right? With cool twangy lead vocals. I love this album, just start to finish. It's incredible. They remind me a little bit of Black and Blue, actually.
There you go. Yeah. All right, my next one, I'm going to go with Titan, Rough Justice. Yeah. It kind of looks like a Manowar album cover. I'm very familiar with Manowar, but it's not. Martin, any thoughts on Titan?
They're kind of a little dead to me on the whole new wave of British heavy metal thing because I did that trilogy of books and I ended in 84, and I believe this is an 85 album, right?
Probably,
so
yes.
After this, this you're getting into that area where British metal is just going to completely disappear, and they're kind of hanging on. It's very good. It's high quality. But it's getting really late for the game.
It's pretty late in the whole genre.
They missed the window because we've moved on to hair metal and Sunset Strip.
Exactly. So anyway, but I think it's a decent album cover. It's not up to standards of maybe something else, but just saying, I don't have a problem with it. I thought it was all right.
But look, Grant, it has another one of those weird scythe axes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm all about those axes.
Yeah.
Come on.
Before I give you my next 3, let's look at the comments.
Let's look at the comments.
With Tank Filth Hounds of Hades, we've got Edge of the World by Wolf. Now, that's another one like Praying Mantis. That album is even worse than the Praying Mantis album, and it's got a great album cover, William. But what else we got here? Court and the Axe Satan. Yeah, so that also you're getting a little late for that as well, but that's all part of this whole thing. All right, so my next 3, I'm going to start with Grim Reaper, See You in Hell. I think this is an incredible album cover. The cool thing about this is it was such a great album too. They're a little late. It's very, very musical. It's interestingly basic, beautifully recorded, an ebony recording. But when you couple that with the really creepy back cover, it gets even better, right? Because the back cover looks really, really crude and simple and down market. And I think I took a couple out just to show. Yeah, they kind of got progressively worse. The second, it's kind of a trilogy, these first ones, right? Just not. The albums are actually almost as good as the debut on both of these. They are quite underrated, but the album covers are not as good. It's just they really captured the magic on the first one. What an incredible album. Sadly, we lost Steve Grimmett, the vocalist. Nick Bocott, I think he went and worked for Guitar World. He became a kind of a guitar expert thing. But yeah, Daryl Johnson production values, incredible production values. There's that feeling of surging and the the tempo speeding up and slowing down here and there on this album as well. It's just really kind of cool and organic. Okay,
No,
next.
wait a minute, Martin. You stop. Wait. Whoa.
Yeah.
But what about that album cover? You look at it and tell me what should have been improved. What did they fail on? There's something about it that drives me crazy.
The way the bar of the scythe goes kind of through the horse.
No, but Grim Reaper's not centered.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's over.
But it doesn't make sense. Why would they not center that?
Big scythe for you. I don't know.
He's centered over the mascot.
It's centered over the horse. It's centered over the horse.
Can you center it over the horse? Shouldn't it be centered over the
It's not a question
square?
of can you? They did.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Yeah. Yeah, and Gary Sharp Young drew this, right? So or illustrated this. We lost Gary Sharp Young as well. He was a big new wave of British heavy metal journalist, but he did this album cover. He did Savage, Loose and Lethal. He probably did the Chateaus, as far as I know. He did a few, but yeah, he died quite a while ago, probably in his 30s or 40s. Next, I've got Witchfind, Cloak and Dagger. This is next.
Yeah, I'm looking for it.
And the first one is really evil but crude looking. The second one I almost picked because it's really classy, like the Demon Unexpected Guest. But this one, I've always liked these ones where you've got the round thing on a record like that. Somehow it just makes it look better. But yeah, it's just very evil and cool looking. I love that title, Cloak and Dagger, as well. But yeah, and it's a good album. They really kind of got heavier with the second or the third and fourth album over the first two. And this is just a good, solid late period new wave of British heavy metal album. And my last one of the first bunch is the Angel Witch. I think it's an incredible album cover. The back, again, very evil, with the Baphomet there and the really cool band shot of the trio there holding up that AP sword or whatever. But yeah, really cool. And the neat thing about this band is for 5 minutes, they were better than Iron Maiden and cooler than Maiden. I think this
5
is a better
minutes
album than the first Iron Maiden album, and they were on a big label, but Iron Maiden just went up and these guys just went down. They didn't have another album for I think 3 years after this, or 2 years. They had some lineup changes, but yeah, for a brief instance, Angel Witch was better than Maiden and about as big as Maiden, but it went away very quickly, kind of thing. So there you go. That's my first three.
All right.
And let's just go over the comments quickly. Grand Prix, as Phil lands on. Yeah, that's true. The Grand Prix had a good album cover. Let's see. Bronze Taken by Storm is a good album cover. Ashley, that's right. Grand Prix. There we go. William Walker, cool album cover with the samurai cover. And they were also poppy, like White Spirit, like Praying Mantis. Not that heavy. Fast Way, first album, the Checkerboards. Yeah, we've had that on the show. Ethel the Frog. Stupid name of a band, but really cool album cover, Ashley. Absolutely. Girls School Demolition, Raven Rock Until. Yeah, Ravens weren't very good. They were not that good album covers, nor were the Saxons. Saracen, Change of Heart. Yeah, a lot of good ones coming in. Let's move on to Jamie.
Jamie, you're up.
All right, this next band, I've been trying to get into this next band for quite a while. Years ago, I bought Saxon, Power and the Glory, and I was like, I came across Crusader. I was like, well, maybe the music gets better when the album covers get better. So I gave it another shot, and that's the pick right there, which is pretty cool. But the thing is, when I listen to Saxon,
Where is it?
I don't know. It's right here, though.
I know, but I don't. Oh, things have disappeared. Of course they have.
Blame it on pumping vinyl.
Well, it might be out beyond his control, but we can rally Jamie, and I can bring it back up. But again, it's a glitchy thing with StreamYard. There you go.
There it is. The thing is, when I listen to Saxon and the album spinning, I literally talk to the album and say, "You're not as epic as you think you are.
Yeah.
You're just not."
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's the problem I have with Saxon, but maybe one day it will click.
Yeah.
Is Motorhead new wave of British heavy metal band? It's like this, all right. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? For years and years, I said no. I'm at the point now, I'm like, the hell with it. If it's a Christmas movie to you, fine, it's a Christmas movie to me. And that's how I feel with Motorhead. Fine, they're new wave of British heavy metal. But this is just badass. I cannot imagine. When did this come out, Martin? 79?
Yep.
I can't imagine in 1979 how this just jumped off the shelves when you went to the record store. I bet you out of all the albums in heavy metal history, well, this and Maiden, people probably bought this and some Maiden solely based on the album cover more than any other albums out there. I don't know. You can't.
Well, the thing is, though, Jamie, how was this promoted back in the day in 1979? Was it even in the racks? I'm just throwing it out there.
I'll give you a story on that in a minute.
Okay, awesome.
So.
Super.
And my third one, I hope I'm going in order. Yeah. Satan, Chord in the Act. It's
Next Christian album.
Really ballsy to call yourself Satan in 1983 or 82 or whatever. I have their newer albums. I don't have their debut for some reason. I will have it eventually, but I don't have it now. But that's pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Cool logo.
Production's not great on it. And yeah, they're
Right.
kind of a little late arriving, but yeah.
I kind of dig the album cover, though, to be quite
Yeah.
honest. I think it's good.
Yeah, it's got neat action to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Was that 3, Jamie? Because I can't keep track.
It was.
2, 3.
All right.
3,
Well,
all right.
Mr. Lodano, you're up.
Yeah, go
All
ahead.
right. Well, one of my favorite songs from the new wave of British heavy metal was a eponymous song by a band called Blitzkrieg. So when I saw their album, A Time of Changes, I grabbed it. It's not as good as the song. This is like 85 at this point. You know, they're starting to sound a little bit more 80s. But I do like that. I'm going to call it a dragonfly, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I like that. It's coming out of a grave, it appears. And, you know, there's a knocked over gravestone there. There's a little cross gravestone. And they've got kind of a cool metal logo that has a sword in it. So, you know, it scratches the itch. I just wish the album was more like that initial single that they put out during the actual new wave. But there you go. Next, I'm going to go with a compilation album. Maybe the only one we'll see tonight. But it's a compilation album called Metal for Mothers. There it is. Look at that.
Ah!
Now, talk about on a steel horse I ride with a 6-string on my back. There it is.
Yeah.
But on a real metal album, there were 2 Iron Maiden songs here that were recordings that preceded the original 1980 debut. So this is a valuable collectible for Maiden fans for sure. It scratches the itch. You've got a metal horse. You've got some kind of female metal knight riding it, and it looks like the headstock of that indicates it's a bass. So I'm going to say that's a bass, and it appears to be shooting yellow lasers, and she's wearing a purple cape.
Nice.
I don't see anything wrong with this album cover whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, she seems happy on that horse. I will leave it at that. And yes, it is a bass.
Yeah, you don't see a bass being featured too often.
Metal for Mothers 2 even had a cool album cover, but all it does, it's got no image. It's just like the words, but it just was so cool because it was using the same font, and we just freaked out when we saw it for the first time, right? There's New Electric Warriors as well. There's Friday Night Rock Show, not a great cover. There's Rock Snacks and Rock's Caliber, which are just like you know, one color illustrations, kind of a brown thing. They looked kind of cool, but yeah, this is the best one I think for all the comps. Yeah.
Okay.
All
All right,
cool.
Brent, take it away.
Oh, joy.
I have one more.
Go ahead, Mike. Go.
This is an album I haven't heard. Dark Star, self-titled. When I was looking for album covers, I've seen this one around so many times. So many people have posted images of it. This is so memorable. I love it. It's just, I don't know how to describe that. It's just cool.
Rock Candy reissued that on CD, by the way.
Yeah. It's a little patchy as an album. It's got a little bit of a 70s vibe to it, or just not that good. Production's not terribly great either. It's got a little Gaskin or Dead Ringer or Rage to it, I suppose. But the great song on it, and it was, you know, widely kind of distributed. It was a single called Lady of Mars, which is a really cool song on it.
A lot of people in the chat dig it though.
Okay.
Legalized cannabis, like Ashley likes it. You might want to check it out, ladies and gentlemen.
I'll order that Rock Candy. Yeah.
It's on Rock Candy. Check it out. But this is why we do these shows, just to break in. We're trying to turn you on to stuff, and maybe you want to seek out these records. Check them out. I mean, if you do, check them out. Let us know what you think in the comments later, because we do want to hear from you. Yeah. But yeah, I haven't heard Dark Star, but it has been reissued, so check it out.
Cool. All right. Let's just take a quick look here. We've got Ashley mentioning Mama's Boys with Plug It In. They were brothers, right? And very kind of a commercial sound, very well recorded. kind of moving on to a band that could have been big in the hair metal thing. Yeah, Death Penalty, Witchfinder General. I think we've got some of them coming up later in the show. Cloven Hoof was a good album cover, absolutely. Pretty creepy. Yeah, Motorhead is new wave British heavy metal straight up. Yeah, more on that in a minute, William. And all right, over to Greg.
All right, here we go. So Martin's going to back me up on these. So let me scroll up. So I did. Oh, this is so great because it's so bad. Now, I know we've brought this up on this show before, but I'm going to bring it up again. I love this. Battle Axe, Burn This Town. Now, this is a horrible album cover, but it's so good. Look how out of proportion that you could never even ride that motorcycle. The handlebars are so low, ladies and gentlemen. But it is a horrible album cover, but still it's great. So I'm putting it in here. Any thoughts on that one, Martin? Because I know you talked about
I mentioned
this
before, because I had the second album in my list, and this is the one I was saying was the first album. And yeah, they're pretty scrappy, kind of like a low rent new wave of British heavy metal band. They weren't that good, but
I think it's just great. All right, so my number 6, I'm going to go with. Well, we've mentioned this. Cloven Hoof. This is the self-titled album. I mean, is this really a great record? Actually, I don't know, but I can tell you, I dig this cover because it's just so out there.
Yeah.
You know?
Pretty cool, cult classic, a little proggy, but yeah, kind of good, evil British, new wave of British heavy metal, and it's definitely become a classic. I think it's 85.
Yeah, I think it's pretty late.
Yeah, so we're moving forward past even when I say 84, like I did the trilogy of the timeline and quote books, and I ended in 84. And a lot of people say 84 is even too far, but there were a lot of good albums that still sounded like the right thing in 84. So that's why I included it.
But I kind of dig it, so it's all right. Cool. My number 5, I think this was already mentioned in the chat. Girls' School, Demolition.
Yeah.
Now this. Yeah. Now, this, I think, is a really great cover. I don't care for the Demolition font so much. The Girls' School font and the logo's good, but this looks airbrush, but this doesn't, you wouldn't think this is new wave of British heavy metal. It could have been practically anything. Yeah. But I think the cover's good. I like it. So
it runs good too. It runs a good classy album cover too.
Yeah. So I think they're right on track as far as I'm concerned. All right, so there's my 3.
Okay, so my final ones, I'm starting with Tigers of Pantang, Crazy Nights. So we're back to Rodney Matthews, who did the Diamond Head, and I just think that's a great album cover. I love the orange, the fresh color. The band shots are incredible on the back. They all look really cool. And yeah, just for kicks, I took these out. Maybe these are coming up later in the show. I don't know, but we've got Spellbound as well. And Wildcat, these made my honorable mentions. The Cage is not a good album cover, but these are all good. I just love the band shots as well on the back. Really, really good shots on the back. Mm-hmm. Then
Wildcat looks like the cover of Blackfoot.
Tom Kenton. Yeah. Next, I've got Motorhead, Ace of Spades. Now, just to go down this, I every time this thing comes up and I flares up and everybody starts debating this, but here's why I think Motorhead's a new wave of British heavy metal band. Briefly, so I consider the 77 debut kind of almost like a demo thing. It was just sort of tossed off. So to me, Motorhead really starts, and it's not even on Bronze. To me, Motorhead really starts in 79 on Bronze with Overkill. They do another album in late 79. So if you want to stretch back and include 79 as the starting year for new wave of British heavy metal, I'm good with it, right? So that's the first thing. Second thing, they've got the logo. They've got the uniform. They're outrageously heavy. I mean, they're one of the heaviest bands of the new wave of British heavy metal. No ballads whatsoever. No ponderous dirges based on Rush or anything like that. Just all rocking all the time. They've got picture sleeve singles. They've got colored vinyl. They've got singles that are not, on the albums. They do covers. They got together with Girls' School and did something, and they're literally right there in Britain, in London, all the time, playing with all the other new wave of British heavy metal bands. So that's why I think they're new wave of British heavy metal. So Crazy Nights. Ace of Spades is my next one with the El Loco look here. And I think this is just such a beautifully laid out album cover. They got the Mexican theme going. They're standing on that hill, which is in England, actually. And I love the way Motorhead and Ace of Spades is put down in the corner like that. Everything's just perfect about this album cover. My next one is also Motorhead, Overkill. So yes, my story with this always is I remember flipping through the racks at Strawberry Jams. I already had the first album a long time ago and seeing this in the racks. And I jumped up and I let out a yell because I was not ready for a second Motorhead album to be sitting there in the racks and almost hit my head on the low hanging beam in this store. I just missed it, but yeah. And everybody in the store looked around. What the heck is that kid doing? But yeah, that is an incredible album cover. They're on bronze. So at this point, they are getting distributed well. But just to see them move from that black and white snaggletooth to this amazing snaggletooth is incredible. And then my last one, my top new wave of British heavy metal album cover is Motorhead Bomber. And I think that, they just raised their game. This is incredible. You've got the guys, in there as photographs. It's just such a classy cover. The colors are amazing. The color of the logo, the way Bomber is on there at the bottom. It's just everything is absolutely perfect about this. The only thing that ruins it is they let Filthy Animal take a picture like that on the back. Everything else about the back is similarly classy to the front, and then right in the middle, Filthy Animal, right? So that I thought that was ridiculous. Ruined the whole vibe, but the front is incredible. So there you go. That's my strong statement. Motorhead was part of the new wave of British heavy metal, and they are my third, second, and first favorite album cover of the entire new wave of British heavy metal.
There you go. Excellent. All right.
Hey, hang on. Let's take a quick look at like yapping. What do we got here? Let's see. Ashley guys, Girl School do a great cover of Bomber. Yeah, very cool. And I love their Please Don't Touch on the Head School Girl, whatever. 45 they did Saint Valentine's Day Massacre. But is Ace of Spades a Christmas movie? Good point. Let's see. Mojave Metal, Elder of Rock. Yes, absolutely. Motorhead, Another Perfect Day. That's a pretty good one too. Good album cover. Iron Fist, not so good, I suppose. We always thought that was a little tossed off. Spider, Rock and Roll Gypsies is a good new wave of British heavy metal album cover, and you're right, that is new wave of British heavy metal meets Status Quo, just like Vardis, right? All right, over to Jamie.
All right.
There's your Bomber doppelganger.
Yes.
Yeah, for the Bomber show with all the album covers with bombers.
Yeah, and the Night Ranger, right? 7 Wishes.
Yeah. More, you could do a show on album covers with bands with warplanes.
Yeah. Samson, Don't Get Mad, Get Even, right? Mm-hmm. I think we did that show, frankly. I think we did that before, but
I've done so many that I can't keep track. Yeah. All right, my next one is a album I don't own, and the vocals turn me off. But Green Reaper, See You in Hell. But you know why I like this? Because, man, I bought Circus Magazine and Hit Parader back in the day. And for a few months, every time you bought one, this ad for this album was in there. And it just reminds me of those days of coming home 14 years old with the Hit Parader and paging through it over, cutting out, the full pictures of bands and putting those on your wall.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The idea there is, so they were on Ebony, that indie from the new wave of British heavy metal, all those comps, Metal Warriors and all that. But then they got this deal with RCA in the States, and then this came out something like a year later. And then they had the other two, and they were really trying to push those guys. But the joke always came down to is that they were not very good looking guys in total, right? It's a little bit of that Saxon thing. But they had this, and like I say, those 2 follow-ups, which are all very good albums. But they're rough the new wave of British heavy metal. They did not adapt or adopt for America or hair metal or anything like that. They just stayed.
I never heard them on the radio.
Yeah, definitely not. Not a radio band.
No. Yeah. Not in Central Ohio. No way in hell.
Another band you didn't hear on the radio. Raven, All for One. Now, recently I had the Pack Is Back when I was a kid, and I thought it was terrible. I was like, the hell with that band, and that's how that's for the next 40 years. And then, I heard things, good things about their early albums. So I bought this little box set that has what, 4 albums in it, 3 albums and a live one. And I think this screams classic heavy metal band from the 80s.
Yeah. Amazing album. Yeah.
Yeah. You see that, that's probably their best album. You know it by the cover.
Great production. The first 2 are kind of like rough and frantic and kind of thinly recorded, but good ideas. They're kind of like thought to be like an early speed metal band, and then this one is almost like their Metallica Black album, where they slowed down. It's just got great grooves and vibes. It's an absolute masterpiece of the new wave British heavy metal.
The thing I need to get used to more though is who's the lead singer? Gallagher?
Yeah.
Mark?
Rob.
He doesn't sing in the same octave for a very long amount of time.
Yeah, he's got
down
that
here, up here, down here, up here.
Yeah, he does that a lot. It's kind of like a version of a falsetto that he does, and a lot of people are not big fans of it, but yeah.
All right, Tigers of Pantang is my next one, Crazy Nights. Now here's the thing about this band. I have this one. It's not the cleanest copy.
Oh.
So what I did was I bought a box set called the MCA Years, and it's coming in a few weeks. And that's the cover of the box set. So it's kind of like the Raven one I have. Has 4 albums and a live album, including this one. And I'm glad I bought it. When we started doing this exercise, I was looking on Amazon. I got it for $27, and right now, just a couple days later, you cannot find it for lower than $80 anywhere. Wow. It's not even on eBay. It's not even listed on eBay. Amazon has it for like 58 plus shipping. Discogs has it for about 80. So I got it for 27 right under the belt.
Good job.
Yeah.
Wow, look at you.
I know. My last one is this band just didn't give an F. You talk about Venom not caring. This band didn't care. And that's Witchfinder General. I had to edit the album. This band said, we don't care about being on t-shirts. We don't care about the promotional poster up on the wall in the record store. This is who we are. And this is Death Penalty and Friends of Hell. I'll stand over here with them. Both of them. This is scary to me. When I saw this as a kid, I was like, holy shit. I don't even want to listen to that. That must be the craziest music in the world. And it's really not. But for its time, yeah, that's crazy though.
Well, what these guys are considered are almost like the first doom band of all time. Like it's very Sabbathy, right? So this album is the first one, and then Friends of Hell is the second one. So it kind of precedes, or actually, it's right around the same time as the first Trouble, right? But I actually interviewed that gal about this photo shoot, and I interviewed the guy who ran the label, and I talked to the band themselves. And wrote up sort of this short story, which you can get as like one of these 99-cent ebook thingies. But yeah, I interviewed all these guys about this because I love these albums, especially the second one, Friends of Hell. But yeah, this is 83, I believe, and Friends of Hell, I think is 84. So 83 would that's the same time as the first Trouble album. So I guess the Doom arrived at the same time, in one place in Chicago and in England. So.
And speaking of which, Trouble tickets go on sale here in Columbus Friday at Ace of Cups. They're coming. Very small place, so I am very excited.
Nice.
Cool. So this Witchfinder album, Window Lizard says this was an album I enjoyed quite a bit, production aside. So is the production pretty lo-fi, or how would you describe that?
Well, it's kind of cheap, but all the frequencies are there. It's kind of like, when you say raw in a good way, it's got bass. You know what it sounds like a little bit to me? It sounds like when you get a single on a 12-inch piece of vinyl, and it's got that richness to it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of got that to it. But when he says production, it's almost like subconsciously he might even be talking a little bit more about performance, because the performance is really kind of loose. It seems very spontaneous. It sounds like everybody's in a different corner doing what they're doing. It sounds a little power trio-y, but separated. But the second album's better. But it is kind of like a really cool, raw, doomy sort of sound. It's not thin, that's for sure. So
all right.
Not thin, it's fine for me. So.
There you go, everybody. Well, Ruthless Metal loves this record. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
So, all right. Cool with me. All right. I guess Mr. LaDonna, you're up.
Man, I'm gonna have to look up a lot of records and see what I can buy. Dark Star's $70 on Amazon, incidentally, so I'm not buying that. My next two picks are not albums that I own. All I own from these bands are on this compilation here that Lars Ulrich put together in 1990. And the first band's called Vardis, and the album is called The World's Insane. So I don't know this album. I've heard this track. I like that. Look at that logo with the, and you know, similar to the Samson logo, we've got the same kind of EKG reading there.
Yeah.
I just really like that photo. It doesn't really look new wave of British heavy metal to me. It almost looks like more 70s, more Zeppelin era, but
well, yeah. So the deal on this band is they were the first band. Spider was the second band. This was the first band considered new wave of British heavy metal's version of Status Quo. So it's sped up kind of boogie rock. They've got this guy with long white hair. Steve Zodiac is the leader of the band. The first album's the heaviest, but it's live. So their debut is live with originals called 100 Miles an Hour. And this is the second album. And this already, they're starting to get a little poppier. So it's not as absolutely serious and heavy. It's almost doing that thing that Status Quo did, where they shrunk their sound when they got pop boogie rather than the frantic 4 years kind of thing, that the 74 thing. So yeah, Vardis was they were kind of going a little downhill on this one, but a better album cover because the first album cover is just black and white. So.
Well, there you go. I would buy this album just based on the cover, and I'd end up with not the best album. But the next band that I picked, also from this CD, is a band called White Spirit, featuring one Yannick Gers on guitar. And I like the logo. It's got that kind of totem look to it. Nice stark black and white photo. You can see Yannick right there on the bottom, second from the right there in the bottom. I find them kind of deep purple rainbowish on this CD anyway. I don't know if that's what the album sounds like, but I do like that cover. And,
yeah, it is what the album sounds like. That's what they were considered. They were considered like a new wave of British heavy metal, kind of like a lighter version of Deep Purple, maybe a little bit of Styx, pomp rock kind of thing. But it's well recorded. It's on MCA, so they got to deal with MCA for it. I don't think they ever had another album unless they got together later or something. But yeah, this was considered. The big song is High Upon High. That was a really cool song on it. So they had a little bit of success. But yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, good.
Nice little add-on for your Maiden collection there if you want it. Last two albums are kind of easy, obvious ones, but how many people tried to draw this this truck on a notebook or what? Almost every kid I knew. Man, I don't know what to say. It's space trucking. That's a heck of a load that the truck is carrying, that guitar. They got the Def Leppard triangle version of the Def Leppard logo there, which, got to admit, that's my favorite. And nice simple font. It just speaks for itself, doesn't it? Like, you don't need to say anything about it. You don't need to praise it. It is what it is. It's On Through the Night by Def Leppard.
And a buddy of mine owns that original artwork.
Really?
Oh, man. And I guess finally we'll do a little bit of self-promotion here, but my last pick is an album that I'm covering this Friday on Grab a Stack of Rock with special guest John Clauser. We're covering Iron Maiden's debut album. There's my reaction Eddie figure from the album. I have a soft spot for this cover. We've talked about this cover on past shows. It's not the final Eddie, obviously. This is kind of the punk rock version of Eddie with the sticky uppy hair. It's primitive. It's haunting. It's very different from later Eddies. And I have a soft spot for it. The face looks more gaunt, more stretched out, less like less weathered like he does on Killers, less of that snarl, but yet still so haunting. I could go on and on and on about this. I just love everything about it. The way that Derek Riggs paints clouds in the sky with the moon and the halo around the moon and how it matches the street lamps. I love how the wall behind Eddie is bathed in this pale yellow. I just love everything about this album cover. It's one of my favorite album covers of all time, even though it's not really considered. Like Maiden revised this album, this cover, right, for the reissues, and I to me that's a shame. I think that is just a classic piece of art, and maybe Maiden feel it doesn't represent the continuity of Eddie, but I say to heck with it. That's like making a Star Wars special edition.
Yeah, that revision cover. I looked at it and I went, there's just something off with it. It's not this. Yeah. I don't know why they did that.
Yeah. No, speaking of Star Wars, can I just add one thing about Def Leppard?
Riggs.
As you were talking and I was looking at that album, I was like, who would have known that they only had 2 more good albums in them? Here's the thing that hit me. They are the Star Wars of rock bands. Star Wars, to so many people, are the original 3 albums. They don't like the prequels. They don't like the sequels, and they just like those 3 original movies. Def Leppard's the same way. Those 3 first albums, nobody gives a shit about the 13 that came after those albums. Yeah.
Well, they turn into a pop band.
So many people.
That's one of the most beautiful analogies I've ever heard, Jamie.
So true.
So, Jamie, you don't like when they turn into a pop band, or do you?
Martin Popoff is given Hysteria a 0 out of 10, and I've always said since I learned that a 0 might be a little too high. He might be generous with that 0.
I have a question though. I know we're on a tangent. We got a couple minutes. Why does a lot of that late, like Hysteria? Now, Pyromania, I don't think that's too bad, but after that, it kind of got a little bit too much excessive. I don't even know what you want to call it. Bombastic. Its production drives me crazy, but a lot of that stuff still gets a lot of airplay on FM rock radio. Why? When I listen to it, it sounds so dated.
Grant, people like crap. You don't know that?
But I'm just asking the panel, what is it about that later period of Def Leppard but what is it? Why is it still, I don't know why it's lasting through this era. I don't get it.
Nostalgia.
Is it nostalgia because it was so big back in the day that people can't let go? Because I think the production's horrible.
Hysteria was the only Def Leppard album that came out during my entire high school years, and it was monstrous. I mean, it took a year to take off, but then, everybody came home from summer holidays wearing Def Leppard t-shirts one year,
I think Hysteria sounded dated the day it came out, in a way.
Yeah,
we all knew the drummer lost an arm. You could tell by the way the sound, the sound of the drum, that he was having help in the studio. You could just hear it.
I'm talking to everybody, Vegas. Everybody here on the panel and people in the chat. I want to know why it's still played so much. And every time I hear it, I just go, oh my God, really?
I don't know. I don't listen to the radio anymore. So.
Pour Some Sugar on Me was the original industrial song, Bono. Well, it's good for strip clubs. I'll give you that. Maybe that's why it's endured. Maybe. All right. Well, all right. Wow, we're going to go late. Okay. Because of strip clubs, says Rob G. All right. Let's wrap this up really quick because I got another show. Well, actually, we have a Contrarian show that's recording here shortly. Where did I leave off? Oh, I left off on Girls' School, which I dig that cover. My next one, I'm going to go with Tank, Filth Hounds of Hades. Martin, go ahead. Talk about that a bit.
I love this band to death. Algie Ward, who was in The Damned and The Saints, so he's leading it. It's a power trio with the Brabs brothers. Incredible band. I've always called them like the thinking man's Motorhead because they had, Lemmy had great lyrics too, but Algie had great lyrics as well. Amazing songs. The first 3 albums are absolute classics. You've got this, you've got Power of the Hunter next with a cover of Crazy Horses. You've got This Means War with the longer, shorter songs, kind of a war theme. Really cool band. They basically sound like a slightly more, when I say thinking man's Motorhead, I guess I mean more like riffy Motorhead, riffier than Motorhead, like a little less straight down the line punk rock or blues based than Motorhead. Mm-hmm. They had more riffs. But other than that, Algie is just like Lemmy. They were a trio. first album. This one is produced by Fast Eddie, I believe, right?
Yeah, that's what they were saying.
Yeah, and it's really cool and rough and just like great drinking biker metal. All three of the first albums are absolutely essential.
But I kind of like this cover because it's kind of cheesy, but it's cheesy in a good way. You know, it's not computer generated. Someone painted it. I don't know. I kind of like it. That's why I picked it. Now, I don't know if this is new wave of British heavy metal, but I think this record, someone needs to mention this because I think this really is. When you think metal, heavy metal, this immediately pops into my head. I think British Steel from Judas Priest. Come on, what a great album cover. Yes?
It is,
Absolutely.
But this is now when you get to that next layer of the discussion. This is a band that I definitely do not think is a British new wave British heavy metal band, but a lot of people bring it up. But this album totally, belongs in a sense because of the aesthetic of the band and the fact that this is called British Steel, and he's got the stud thing on. So it's such a perfect new wave British Steel, new wave of British heavy metal album cover, and the time is perfect. It's April 1980.
But you don't listen to this, Martin, and think that it does. Don't you think this fits right in with what was going on, or no?
Oh yeah, it absolutely does. But Judas Priest just they've had this long string of great albums. They started in 1969, right?
Well, I know, but still,
74. They got 5 albums or whatever it is before this. So for that reason, no, you can't put them in.
Okay, I'm gonna throw something out here just because this is a different genre. But a lot of those Sparks albums, like the Sparks that has the songs "Cool Places" with Jane Weedland, that album and this one, "Womp That Sucker" from Sparks. They started out early in the 70s, but they were able to make that transformation. And this is definitely a new wave record. So I don't see why Judas Priest, just because they started out in a different era, couldn't fit in with that whole.
Well, like I say, people don't allow me to put Motorhead in because their debut is in 77. The new wave of British heavy metal Police are really strict. You have to have your first release basically in 1979 at the earliest. You can't have old people in the band, so they don't let Gillan in. So there's a bunch of rules.
James, there you go.
In because it's old people, and so yeah, there's this whole. I've done a podcast episode 2 or 3 about the honorary new wave of British heavy metal bands who are British, the honorary new wave of British heavy metal bands who are not from Britain. And yes, there's all these problem bands, but Judas Priest does come up in a lot of people.
I guess all I'm saying is that musically, the sound of this record, I think, fits in with a lot of these other bands.
Good enough, yeah.
Good enough. All right, cool. Okay, my next, we're getting there. Gee, many Christmas. My next one, I'm going to go with Holocaust, the Nightcombers. Thoughts on that one, Martin?
Oh, love this album cover. My original, it was the UK original, which is the same album cover, but it's in blue.
Right.
Red like this. So they were from Glasgow, I believe, and they were young. And it was like a really punky, bedheaded Dennis the Menace version of new wave of British heavy metal. It was just really raw and simple, but the attitude was absolutely there. So this is the debut album with this great album title, The Nightcombers, and that really cool image on there. And then the next album was a live album. It was called Live Hot Wine and Curry or something like that. And it had a lot of originals on it, but unfortunately it was live, even though it was a gatefold too. So they were already getting weird. And then they changed into hologram and changed their sound and kind of went off on this weird kind of hardcore. Are we prog? Are we hard? They never recaptured the magic of this debut. It's an incredible, incredible album.
Yeah, a lot of people would like to go to Cool Places with Jane Weedland, especially in 1985. I'm just going to leave it at that. Okay, my final one, Martin, so get ready. I'm going to go, this one I really dig quite a bit. Fist, Turn the Hell On. Yeah. I have never heard it, but I kind of dig the album cover.
Yeah,
Martin, go ahead.
This was a band that was kind of it was roughly recorded. It had some of the 70s vibes. You know what I said about Dark Star, Dead Ringer, Gaskin. So Fist wasn't all that great. They were probably the most amateurish band to get a deal with MCA. So they got a deal with MCA and they put out 2 albums, and neither of them were all that great. You could tell the songwriting was really good, but they just never got the budget or the production value to excel. But yeah, definitely not as professional as Tigers of Pantang or Quartz with Stand Up and Fight. Those were both on MCA. One of the big samplers early on was an MCA sampler as well. So MCA got into this, EMI got into this, Bronze, of course, got into this new wave British heavy metal thing. But yeah, not a great band, pretty rough and barroom rock and rolly.
Elbib said, well, how could they ride in on the new wave of British heavy metal? Priests were around a long time and already popular before that and signed to a major label. Does being signed to a major label have anything to do with it?
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
Why is that?
Like I say, a few of them were on major labels, in the new wave. Well, I don't know. One of the things about this is the self.
Def Leppard would be considered
the new small labels. And even when it was on a major label, half those albums didn't even come out in North America. So some of them were just signed to a major label, and you only got the import anyways, right?
Right.
But all these things are little rules. You tick off all the boxes, and they, just being on a major label isn't the big deal. But even abstracts, like you get on a major label and then you go away and you tour America. So Def Leppard had that going on. They became a band that was in America a lot, right? Mm-hmm. And so they weren't boots on the ground as much anymore. So that happens with some of these bands too. But
all right. Hey, we're all learning here. We're just talking music, everybody. The whole goal with this program is to maybe turn you on to something that Martin has talked about, that Mr. Ladano has talked about, or Jamie Laszlo. Don't listen to me. But all I'm saying is hopefully we can turn you on to something that you might want to go out and check it out. So before we wrap it up, and we are late, anybody have anything before we wrap it up?
I just want to say I'm glad that there was only 4 of us, because if there were more, this would have been a 2-hour show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Jamie, I know. Do you want to talk about what's coming up on this weekend? What's happening on Sea of Tranquility? What we're doing?
Oh, we're all going to be there, all 4 of us, aren't we? On
right.
the review crew on Saturday. Yeah, we're going to review albums. We're going to go back in time to 1990 and review some one album each that came out in 1990. And I see the list, and I know what I'm doing, and there'll be some nice.
I don't know what I'm doing yet.
Yeah,
I'll figure it out though. Yep. But yeah, we'll all be there. So, and that'll premiere Saturday evening,
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. So awesome. Tune into that on Sea of Tranquility on Saturday. Mr. Ladano, what's happening on Grab a Stack of Rock? Anything coming up? What's coming up?
Yep, we're continuing our 50 Years of Iron Maiden series. We talked about Paul Mario Day last week. This week we're talking about the debut album, and next week we have Martin with us to talk about Killers. So, lots of cool stuff coming. We're just diving way deep into Iron Maiden right now.
All right, cool. Anyway, there you go. What's coming up on the Contrarians? Well, I've got a show that I'm supposed to be recording right now, and I did something yesterday, so something will be out tomorrow. I can't tell you what it is, but anyway, more coming up. I want to thank all these gentlemen for coming on. If you'd like to be on these shows, we'd love to have you. We do have a Patreon. If you'd like to support this channel that way, please join us. And, there's a lot of great stuff going on there. We also have a Ko-fi, buy us a pint or a cup of coffee. We'd love to have that. But, all we are trying to do here on the Contrarians is turn you on to stuff. So please subscribe if you haven't. Tell your friends, for God's sakes. And, gentlemen, let's wrap this dog up because I got to go to another show.
All right.
We'll see you, and make sure you tune in on Saturday to see us talk about the 1990s on Sea of Tranquility. All right, everybody, we'll see you, and keep it clean.
All right.
Take care, everyone.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.